First of all, I want to welcome all parties that are present. I just want to check who is present. So we have Mr. Woods on behalf of the applicants, and you have Lee Nicholson with you.
I have Mr. Summerskill, who is the area manager. David.
Okay, so Lee Nicholson and Mark Hack are not here. Okay. Okay, thank you. So we have, on the interested parties, we have Lee Terrafranca. Yes. I believe we don't have Christian Wiggett here, who has made an objection, I believe, in writing, but not attending. Fine. Do we have anyone here on behalf of Councillor Chirico? Okay. And on behalf of the police, we have PC Stevens. Right. Have I left anyone out? Okay, thank you very much. So, just want to first of all confirm that you have had information about the hearing procedures. Okay. I'd like to ask the legal advisor about the briefing before the hearing. Okay, thank you very much. I will ask the legal advisor if there's request for adjournment.
No.
Thank you very much. And I'll ask the licensing officer if there's any technical issues.
None to bring your attention at the moment. Good.
Thank you very much. So can I ask Mr. Woods to present your case, please?
Good afternoon. This application relates to premises which I suspect may be known certainly to one or two members of the committee, Smash at 82 of Broadway. We were before the committee last August when, from memory, I think at least one, possibly two members of this committee were sitting on that application, maybe all three. These premises used to be known as Punana. There used to be a nightclub predominantly operating during the evening hours. The operators of the premises sort of changed the theme and style of the premises to premises which are now called Smash. And the premises operate selling craft ale as well as all other alcohol, pizzas, and there are table tennis facilities within the premises. And I sent in, which Amy sent round to everybody, just a couple of photographs showing what the premises look like now. The premises opened as Smash in September of last year. They've been trading now for just over 7 months. And this application today is to, in practical terms, is to change some conditions on the licence. So it could have been an application which we made by way of variation, but instead we have applied for a new licence, and if you grant the new licence as applied for, then the existing licence will be surrendered. In terms of the new licence application, we are not seeking to change any hours, any licensable activities or any area at these premises at all. There's no change to that at all. The only change, if you grant the application, would be a change to the conditions.
Just a little clarification on that one. It wasn't plain because the plans are obviously black and white. But the second floor rear area, is that going to be outside the licensed premises again?
There is a condition that we don't use the, yes, we're not adding the outdoor area.
Wherever it is, yes.
Wherever it is, yes.
And can I just confirm, it's on page 57 where those conditions are laid that you're looking at changing perhaps?
Yes, good. My letter at page 57
on the sorry, the actual conditions are on page 87 onwards, really. Obviously the mandatory conditions are on the other side, but 87 is mainly where they are.
So what I'm looking at, what I'm...
So you're looking at the comparison between what's on page 87 and 88
Yes.
with what is on page 71 and 72.
Yeah, so if I'll finish my brief introduction in case you weren't aware of what premises we were talking about and what they are.
Yeah.
The current licence starts at page 77 in your bundle. The application, which includes the proposed conditions, starts at page 59. But if I may say, Councillor, you were right in that maybe the easiest place to start is my letter, which is at page 57, which tells you what conditions we are in effect seeking to change. And those conditions are this, and then I'm done with the application, that there is a condition on the licence that all door supervisors have to wear high visibility jackets. Given the change to the style of the premises and how the clientele that we attract now, which is different to the late night Punana crowd, the high visibility jackets is more associated, as far as we're concerned, as far as customers are concerned, with late night nightclubs, which we're not. And we rather the door staff didn't have to wear those high visibility jackets because it gives a perception to customers that isn't the real perception of the premises. The second condition we want to ask you to remove is the wearing of body-worn video cameras for door staff. We ask that isn't needed now given the style of the premises. The third condition is this, that there is a current, the condition on the licence at the moment is that on Fridays and Saturdays there must be 2 security staff present at all times. Now these premises smash open at lunchtime or even earlier, that condition was imposed because Punana tended to open at 9-10 o'clock at night. And therefore we'd like that condition varying so that it's only after 9 PM that there has to be door staff at the premises on Friday and Saturday nights. So not during the afternoon and early evening trading session. There is a condition on the current licence that ID scan is used for everybody coming into the premises after 9 PM. We'd like that variant so that we still have ID scan, but we don't have to use it for everybody. It's at the discretion of the management as to if you're asked for ID. And the 2 remaining conditions, there was a street warden condition that was imposed on Punana. We'd ask that goes, and there was an old drink at work condition, and we ask that goes as well. The responsible drinking is, of course, still promoted. Prior to submitting this application, we met with PC Stevens from the police. We wouldn't have submitted this application if PC Stevens had said, and we were very upfront with him, we said, these are the conditions that we'd like to change. If you're against that for any reason, we're not going to put that application in. We'll continue to trade and prove to you that those conditions aren't required. So that the application was submitted after liaison with the police, and I'm pleased to say with the support of the police, and the police have put in a letter confirming that they're happy with the changes to the conditions, and the premises have now been trading for in the region of 7 or 8 months, and I'm pleased to say, I think certainly one of the representation confirms this, that the premises are significantly better than they previously traded. They're a different style, with a lot more seating, open and airy. There's a pizza oven, there's craft ale, they're open during the day, and PC Stevens confirms that in his letter of supporting representation by confirming that the standards and style of the premises have improved, actually to such an extent that it's made others in the area respond and trade better as well. That is the application. It is an application to vary one or two conditions and remove another couple of conditions which we say are no longer appropriate or necessary. If you are kind enough to grant the application as submitted, then the existing licence will be surrendered, so there's no additional licence being created. It's a one-for-one. And to reiterate, we are not looking to change or gain any hours or space or anything within the licence. It solely relates to amending those conditions. We are, of course, as has been referred to in the recs, we are in the human impacts area, and you've heard a case on that, and everybody here was there then. I would ask you to consider, when considering this application, firstly that the conditions we are varying or removing are just not appropriate or necessary to promote the licensing objectives. We don't need door staff there on a Friday afternoon. We don't need to ID scan everybody. Secondly, the policy that isn't absolute. The policy looks at applications which would not promote the licensing objectives. I think we've shown in the last 7 or 8 months of trading that we don't have issues at all with these premises, that they are completely different, and that the standards that the operator has put into these new premises are of the highest order, as you any committee would expect. So that is a summary of the application, councillors. It is a new licence, but it's replaced an existing one. I suppose we could have applied for a variation. The existing licence already talks about conditions added here and conditions added there. So my view, as much as anything else, the easiest thing was just to apply for a clean new licence, list all the conditions, be clear as to what we were removing or varying, and confirm that we surrendered the existing one if you were kind enough to grant the application. And those are my submissions, Councillor.
Thank you very much. Can I ask PC Stevens whether you have any questions?
No questions.
And can I ask Ms. Terra Franco, do you have any questions to the applicant?
Just the only question about the only having door staff on a Friday and Saturday night after 9. Does that mean it's all the other nights of the week there won't be any door staff?
It does. We don't have them now anyway on the other nights.
Is that your question? I'm going to ask my colleagues if they have any questions.
Yes, I'm just wanting. Sorry. Thank you, Chair. I'm just slightly concerned about this D. If I take you back to your letter of the 31st of January, and I take you to D, the ID scanning device for the use of the discretionary manager on Friday and Saturday, 9 p.m. You're saying that you don't think that's necessary now. Can you justify that in any way?
When we discussed it with the current condition is that every single person entering those premises after 9 p.m. has to produce ID scan and have their ID scanned onto the system. What we would like to do is to leave that to the manager's discretion, which means, and we have to be careful in how you say this, but for example, if a group of 4 males or females came to the premises who were challenged for their age because they were of the younger crowd, they would be asked for ID scan. I'd like to think that if I went into the premises after 9 o'clock on a Friday night after work, they may not challenge me for my ID. And we have attracted, and I'm not saying for 1 minute because we still trade the hours that we've got, but we are attracting a different clientele to Pool-Arnar, which is attracting people who want to drink craft ale, who want to sit down, who want to have some pizza, and that, in terms of an age profile, is attracting older more discerning people, and we would rather not have to stop that type of clientele and say, can you give us ID before you come in? And that's the reason for that application. The reality is after 11, 12 o'clock, you know, if it's a younger crowd coming in, then they will use the ID scan for those people.
Thank you very much for that. I'm now going to ask PC Stevens to put the other case.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here to fully support the application. I thought it was necessary to just come and put my point of view across. When the premises were trading as Pecuniary, it was dark, had been a secretive nightclub with just one single front door. You didn't know what was behind. You'd go down some steps, you'd be walking into a dark nightclub. And it had some issues. We dealt with those as they happened. I've had regular meetings with the applicant and Mr. Woods, and I always found that they worked with me. The manager at the time worked with me, but as a result, we ended up with a number of conditions on the licence to deal with those situations. It was necessary at the time to have 100% of the clientele coming in to go through the ID scanner equipment. It was necessary at the time to actually put their door staff in high-vis jackets and body-worn video cameras, because that was for the nightclub that we had there. Then I welcomed the change that we had back in August when the premises closed for a refit. And I had more discussions with the applicant about that. I even had the opportunity to wander around while it was a building site to put in my recommendations when it came to the placements of the CCTV cameras. I believe they've changed the slight design of the toilet as well to help with any potential drug use. It was, yeah, we discussed at the time the minor variation, or was it minor or major variation at the time, just to reduce a few of the, or to deal with a few of the conditions that were on there at the time, but nothing too drastic, because still at the end of the day I wanted to see if it could still run, if it could run as Smash and be successful. I'm very, very pleased to say that since it opened as Smash, the profile of Wimbledon Town Centre at that point has been raised. We've got a great big, it's a lot brighter inside, there's a door and a great big window, you can see what's inside the premises. It's completely different from how it was before. Clientele has noticeably changed, so that we now have slightly older people there, but basically nicer people coming in to enjoy that premises, nicer people than they were that were going to Pecuniary. With greatest respect for the applicant of this, we've noticed this improvement. The other venues, we're all talking to each other. The other venues have noticed as well. They see it as obviously as healthy competition, but when you have nicer people, less inclined to want to get drunk to fight, they're not. These people have been attracted to that part of Wimbledon Town Centre, so it's forcing all the other venues to up their game. We've got a nightclub sort of diagonally opposite, and their staff there have noticed an improvement, and they're turning away the less desirable clientele, because we're also noticing that there are people that may have felt comfortable in Pecuniary no longer feel comfortable in Smash, so they look for elsewhere. The other venues are aware that they need to keep those people away from their venues. Things are improving. The only statistics I wanted to bring up was Wimbledon Town Centre is actually better than it was a couple of years ago. We've had a 2% rise across the whole of London, a 2% rise in non-domestic violence with injury, which is the figures that I look at. So it's basically assaults that are not domestic related. 2% rise across the whole of London. Merton with 9% reduction. We are back in the trend of London. and the vast majority of those figures come from Wimbledon's nighttime economy. So the thing is, I really need, and I want Smash to do well. They have taken taken the old nightclub and turned it into something which is a lot fresher, a lot nicer. It's actively encouraging other venues to improve. We've also got other venues as well that have they've rebranded. Say Garrett and Gage, that originally was Edwards, and they've rebranded and spent money on making themselves look nicer to deal with the competition, but also to deal with the nicer people that are coming into Wimbledon. So this is, I need Smash to do well. I don't want them to revert back to being a dark, beauty nightclub as it was before, and I'd like to support them. So looking at their licence, there's an element of ambiguity on their licence now, because it is, as Mr. Wizard said, there are a number of additions to it that just change the conditions that they've got in their licence. Rather than a variation, it would be nice just to see a nice, new, clean licence that says exactly what they can and what they can't do, and one that depicts Smash as opposed to being anonymous. We've had a number of discussions now, and we had a discussion immediately prior to the application going in, so everything was with my approval, and I'm confident from previous records now that if there are any problems that if it looks like maybe we need a door staff on other nights of the week, or if we need to address any of the other issues, changes, I'm confident that the applicant will do that without us having to go to a hearing. They'll just put in a minor variation to help me out with that. So I'm happy with the application we've got, and I'd like to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to still ask the applicant if you have any questions. Thank you. And Mr. Franklin, do you have questions to PC Stevens?
Just a question about the time frame, because if they've only been open for 6 months, I don't understand how you're attributing a 9% reduction in assaults to Promenad's new place.
I'm not saying that Promenad's responsible for the 9% reduction. I'm saying over the last couple of years we are noticing a reduction as Wimbledon is improving. We are noticing that all the venues are talking to each other a lot better than they were. They're talking to me. Everything is working well at the moment. We are bucking the trend of the rest of London, and I believe it is my judgment that with Pecuniary becoming Smash in the way that Smash is dealing, the way that Smash are operating, that is contributing to the overall reduction in private crime.
Any further questions? Can I ask my colleagues if they have questions?
If I may, Chair, just PC Stevens, do they belong to pub watching like many of the other outlets that sell alcohol in Wimbledon?
Yes, they do, and they have offered to host public meetings as well.
Thank you, Chair. My question to you, PC, when the police station closes, do you, what sort of presence will the police have in Wimbledon and around that area, where you're going to have two very close together clubs there? So, yeah.
Very, very difficult question for me to answer. We don't have a time scale at the moment, but we know that Wimbledon Police Station, well, as it stands at the moment, we believe Wimbledon Police Station will be disappearing. The response teams will be based out of Mitcham, but we will still have a town centre team, which are the police officers that are solely responsible for the area of the town centre. We've all been issued with tablets and laptops and technical ability to be able to stay away from a police station and not to be tied. So the idea is that with me personally, rather than working from a police station, I'll be working from cafes and other venues around. The police officers themselves, rather than having to go back to Mitcham Police Station to go and put their reports on, they can stay out and put their reports on from the police cars. So the theory, as it's been told to us, is that the police officers will be able to stay away from the police station for longer, so they won't be tied to Wimbledon Police Station. They will be in the general area. It should be that nothing changes.
I don't have any questions, but really to reiterate that what's just been raised and ask if you could take that matter back to them, please, because it will be a major concern to all the residents in Wimbledon, not just on this application, but to Wimbledon in general. Thank you very much. So, right, so now I'm going to move to, I don't know if it's Miss or Mrs, but Sarah Franco, if you'd like to make a presentation based on your objection.
I have to agree that Ponana was the worst, and now Smash is heading absolutely in the right direction. I'm sure you guys look at your Google reviews, and if any of you just had a look on their own site. The peak customers are from midnight till 1 p.m., so it's still quite a late night venue, which I'm sure as the business matures, you'd like to have the ping pong tables drawing people in through all day long, but at the moment it isn't working. It's also been only 6 months since they've been operating, and I think just as a resident, and I speak for 20 residents associations in Wimbledon through the Union of Wimbledon Residents, that it's, in our view, quite premature to allow us to just snip away all the conditions. But I appreciate that's the application before us. So my points on that are that Wimbledon and Pod still are here. It's part of a triumvirate of what I would call dangerous late night venues, and I know it's the same ownership, and I know you're trying very hard with the doormen and scanning IDs and stuff. But in my view, if those are eliminated, suddenly you become more like the other venues. So I would question, should those conditions be relaxed? No mention about the smoking areas in the ground floor and first floor. And I don't know if some of you remember that Kona and I had a license review because of noise emanating, and those areas were of concern. The door staff after 11 only 2 days a week, whereas they're supposed to be 7 days a week in the current conditions. And while maybe they don't need them at 9 for ping pong and pizza, to me, I understood that all the crime was from midnight onward in the town center area related to the drinkers. And so I think it's very risky to remove somebody blocking the bad boys and girls in the later evening. The last point was the street wardens. The area is repulsive. Veolia isn't working. Hopefully the council will get a grip on it, but it's wrong that we should be paying to clean up after the late night crowd, and I think that the conditions should be retained on the street wardens, keeping the rear access where you waste, which has been bad to pretty terrible sometimes, and also keep the frontage clean. Yes, the town center is better than it was 6 months ago. Part of it's because the terrace has been closed and the slug's closed. So when those come back into action, we're going to have the droves back in. And I just would close by saying we were led to believe by Lee Nicholson, who's one of the partners in the group at the last licensing last year, that it was his intention to be pulling back on the late night hours. And I think 3:30 a.m. 6 nights a week is still absolutely incorrect for the Wimbledon that we want for the future. And I'm disappointed that they haven't offered to restrict it to 1:30 and perhaps 2:30 on weekends. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can I ask Mr. Woods if you have any questions? Okay. Mr. Stevens, do you have any questions? And do we have any? Okay, thank you very much. The licensing officer, do you have any you wish to raise?
No comments at this point yet.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask our legal advisor?
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm now going to move to closing statements, and the first closing statement I'm going to ask for is from PC Stevens.
Thank you. Just very short. I fully support the application. I think it is it's very helpful to me and to the police what they've done by changing the property run up to smash. They have proven that since they've been open, we have no crimes reported that have been directly attributed to that premises. I'm really happy with them. I need them to stay open as they are because of the effect that they're having on the rest of the town as well. The application itself just allows them to continue as they are and to carry on in the direction that they're going. So the application itself, I believe, has a positive impact on the licensing objectives, certainly not negative. So I would urge you to grant this application. Just makes it cleaner and smoother as well if it's a new application as opposed to a variation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And can I ask Ms. Terra Franco if you have a closing statement?
Just to say that I do feel that it's too early to cut loose these very strict restrictions which have had a positive effect of harnessing the other two venues. And I fear that it could actually diminish the good success of SMASH if we were to release all of those conditions now. And finally, the late night hours, we'd still like to see those reduced. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask Mr. Woods for your closing statement?
Yes, I won't repeat anything that I said in my opening submission, just with regard to 2 or 3 very brief points. We're not seeking to snip away or cut loose all of the conditions. We are seeking to slightly change a couple of them. Door staff, we keep door staff on Friday and Saturdays. The condition at the moment is that we only have to have door staff on Friday and Saturdays. We don't have them any other nights of the week, so we're not looking to get rid of it. We're just asking you to say that's only after 9 o'clock. Similar position with regard to the ID scan as well. We're not looking to get rid of it. Noise has been mentioned. We're not looking to change any of the conditions that promote the objective of preventing public nuisance. Any conditions relating to preventing noise remain. And with regard to the mess outside that we see regularly, we don't do any takeaway food at all. So we don't let people take pizzas away from the premises and discard any of the boxes or anything of that nature. Other than that, I would be repeating everything I said in my submission, councillors.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for your representations. We will now retire into private session, and I don't know how long this will take, but I hope we will get back shortly. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're now back in public session, and I'm going to invite firstly the legal officer to present the advice provided during the private session.
I took the committee over the professional presumption and procedure for considering the application within the Kingdom Index zone. I also referred them to the Thwaites case in terms of evidence, and other than that, I took them through the application and conditions and licensing activities proposed.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm now going to tell you that our decision, which is to grant the application subject to the removal of the All Saints' Days exemption. The application has overcome the rebuttal presumption based on the hours and operation that will be there under the existing licence. This is assisted on the basis that the hours are restricted in relation to the public in terms of access. The operation being to usual restaurant hours on the weekends for the public, and that off sales are prohibited to all but residents. A condition will be that any purchase of alcohol shall be supported by a room card.
I should add that that would be after at midnight, isn't it?
Yes,
Depending on the day.
Yes, or 11 o'clock in the week or midnight.
I mean, I should add that the committee did consider that period quite carefully and was considering options, but on the basis of what the representations that were made, we'll have to proceed on this basis, but obviously on review that will happen, they would have to have different things to think about, I suspect.
And I would just conclude by saying that to all those present, that all parties will receive, or should receive, a written copy of the decision notice within 5 days. So thank you very much indeed for your
Excuse me, Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Are there any conditions on the licence?
Yes.
There are.
I made one
Sorry, the
condition.
application is as applied for.
As applied for.
in terms
Okay,
of
so
the
what's
conditions,
on there, yeah?
apart from the removal of the all states in
Got it.
terms of exemptions and the licensable activities as proposed,
Oh,
the
okay.
hours proposed.
And the additional conditions we agreed with the police.
Yeah, additional condition has just been read out.
Is that clear?
But it'll be in writing, so that will be looking
Can I thank you, take the opportunity to thank you for your time and patience.
Thank you very much. We're now closed.